Welcome back to the Midlife Empress Podcast. Well, today is another Me Podcast special guest. And you know that I love bringing on guests that add value to you, our listeners. Well, I met this beautiful woman in a Facebook group, and we had a lovely, lovely chat. And I'm really honored that she's on the show today. Her name is Cheryl Meyer. And, you know, Cheryl is a health muse, okay? Once she was a solopreneur in the jewelry business, and she got a wake-up call one morning and couldn't get out of bed and was in excruciating pain. And, being misdiagnosed and brushed off by the conventional medicine, of course, she had to go and embark on her journey. Yes, yes. And discover that there was a root cause and unveiling, that she had an autoimmune disease. Cheryl realized that her relentless work and her ethic was just, and her living of her unhealthy lifestyle were the culprits. So, refusing to accept this as her fate, she dove into research, overhauled her whole entire diet, and pursued education and holistic health. And resulting in that incredible transformation, well, today, Cheryl is a beacon of hope for those who are battling these chronic illnesses. And, with her superpower of finding holistic solutions, she totally empowers her clients to reclaim their health and vitality. Through her research and books and coaching, Cheryl inspires others to embrace the journey to wellness, and proven that nothing is impossible when it comes to feeling great and living well. Cheryl Muse, welcome to the show.
Thank you so
So glad
much.
to have you, honey.
I decided I wanted to be a muse because I want to inspire people to own their own health because you have way more power than anyone has ever told you that you have. So if you own it, you can do anything. It truly is impossible not to recover. If you set your mind to it and you dig in and you keep finding your puzzle pieces, which is what I like to help people do and what I did.
Yes, that I agree with you on that, Cheryl. I agree. You just got to put the puzzle pieces together, honey. Well, I'm so glad to have you here. And tell me a little bit, Cheryl, about what's your story in all this?
Well, I had been an solopreneur. I had my own jewelry business. I was selling big box jewelers like Macy's and Kohl's and Amazon and J.C. Penney. I was designing jewelry specifically to their customers, loving what I was doing. I was manufacturing overseas, so I was constantly on the road, and I was doing everything to be successful except take care of me.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
we always put ourselves last sometimes, don't we? Most of the time, rather.
And at first, I got what I call the tap on the shoulder from the universe. Then I got the NCIS slap, and I still didn't pay attention to it. My symptoms were going through my brain with the speed of light until one morning when I woke up and I literally couldn't get out of bed because everything hurt. And I had to pay attention. I had no choice. The 2x4 had come down. So I waited a week to see if it was the flu. It obviously wasn't the flu. So I started going to get tests run. And after 4 rounds of tests, my conventional doctor called me and said, "Good news. There's nothing wrong with you." I said, "That's ludicrous. I can't function." Every joint and every muscle in my body hurt. Ended up, after doing a lot of research, what I found out I had was fibromyalgia.
Wow.
But conventional medicine doesn't even always acknowledge that autoimmune diseases exist.
Yes,
and I was lucky because I tripped into the functional medical community. And those are doctors who are trained conventionally, but they look for the root cause. They consider the entire body when they're looking for what's wrong. And so I watched 19 different symposiums with multiple doctors and wrote down all the threads because they had either all gotten sick themselves and couldn't help themselves, or they had a loved one that they couldn't help. And so the first things I wrote down was I was eating the ultra processed food diet that was completely haywire. So I
Right.
started investing. I didn't even know what the difference was between GMOs and organic or any of that.
Right.
But I completely changed my diet, started going to farmers markets. I lived in California. I was lucky. I started completely changing how I ate. Next thing I did was I had almost no cortisol left in my body. I was on the border of Addison's disease because I was being chased by a tiger all the time. Okay, you can't do that because you'd only have so much cortisol. So I started taking yoga and learning how to breathe and letting go my chronic stress. We all have stress, but it doesn't have to be toxic stress.
Yes.
And then the third thing I did was start to investigate all the products in my life for their toxicity.
Yes.
And I got angry because there was so many poisons in my products. I went, why the heck is my government not protecting me?
Yeah.
I started looking for things
that still remains
out.
to be seen.
And
that still remains to be seen. And
guess what? We're responsible for ourselves.
Exactly.
So we control that. So you don't have to, just because they're out there, doesn't mean you have to buy them or that you have to use them. And there's a giant database in the sky called EWG. There are more now, but that was where I looked everything up ingredient by ingredient and traded out for lower toxin items. And it took 5 years, but 5 years later, I was relatively pain-free.
Yeah. Wow. And we have to steward our bodies well. God wants us to steward our bodies well. And if we're just on the go all the time, he's going to shut it down. We got to, he's going to bring awareness to us. Hey, you're not taking care of your body. So yeah. Wow. 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 So
one of the things I read was I earned autoimmune disease. That really hit me between the eyes because it was true.
Yeah.
I did. I earned it because my lifestyle habits were so lousy. And when I cleaned them up, my body rewarded me and I re-earned wellness.
Living life too fast. Yes, I agree. So what was the most important thing that you did to return to your wellness?
I started eating what I call the rainbow diet. Which is all the different colors of produce and fruits, and they each have different gifts. They all have essential nutrients of vitamins and minerals, but beyond that, 10 years ago when I got sick, they were just starting to discover phytonutrients that were in those foods.
Right.
And they're called micronutrients, not macronutrients, but they are amazing. They can even throw darts at cancer. They can heal you from the inside out. And the thing is, you need to eat diversity and some of all the colors because there's a synergy that happens when you eat them all, that they have a little party in your body and they create health. So I started cooking all my food, shopping for all my food. I started buying. In the beginning, the dirty dozen, I definitely bought organic. Now I buy almost everything organic because I don't even want the minor toxins that are on other foods. But I don't want the poisons that get sprayed on our real food. So I cleaned all that up. And I reached a point where if I ate something that wasn't clean or wasn't all the different colors, my body started yelling at me. I was amazed at how smart my body was if I would listen to it.
Wow. Wow. That's so good. So tell me, what are your thoughts on how is food connected to your hormones?
One of the things that I've discovered over my 10 years of journeying to wellness is that health is balance. And when we eat the rainbow and we breathe and we get 7+ hours of sleep and we move our body and we return to balance, one of the first things it impacts are how our hormones operate. And we need to be in balance for our hormones to operate properly. And if you don't, if you're going through like menopause, like you did, you have a really rough time because they can't help you because they're out of whack. But it also impacts all your happiness hormones. So if you're having a problem with depression, take a look at your food because when you eat properly and you're in balance, a signal gets sent from your gut up to your brain and turns on your serotonin and your oxytocin and your dopamine. and makes you happy, literally. I used to say I was kind of sort of happy, but not completely. Now my feet hit the ground and I'm happy from the moment I get up because my body is operating the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So, where did you do most of your research to discover on how to eliminate these toxins?
I did most of the research on EWG, which is the Environmental Working Group.org website, but I've learned something since I did it. I looked up every single ingredient when I did it. You don't have to do that. I've worked with an environmental scientist now. We've done some things in collaboration. You start at the bottom of the list, and when you hit something toxic, you stop and you find a replacement. You don't have to look everything up. Sometimes the whole product is rated on their website. Sometimes it's not. So if it's not, start at the bottom and work up. If nothing is toxic, then you can keep going. If it is toxic, then you know you want to find a replacement that won't poison your body. And they're everywhere. They're in our food. They're in our perfumes. They're in all those air fresheners in our house. They're in all our cleaning products. The most toxic thing in your life are the pods that you wash your clothes or your dishes in. Those are so toxic that if an infant or a toddler were to bite into it, you might not even be able to get them to emergency. So you don't want those things in your environment or your house, and they're everywhere. So you really have to ferret them all out because they off-gas even if you're not using them. Just being in your cupboard, they're off-gassing, causing your body trouble.
Right.
So you got to get them out of there. And what I recommend now is all your cleaning supplies, get them out of your house, put them in a box, put them in your garage. And then when you need to do your cleaning, you can bring them in one at a time until you research them all and you find better options. But in the meantime, get them the frick out of your house so that they're not poisoning your air. The air in our homes is more toxic than the air outside our homes. And I lived in LA, so I found that a pretty astonishing statistic. But you don't want that stuff in your house because it's doing all kinds of damage.
Wow, that's good information. And anything that touches our skin, we absorb it within 30 seconds.
And it's our biggest organ. So anything you're putting on your skin, and the skin is a multi-way. It lets things in, it takes things out. So you need it to be in balance and operating properly. So you don't want to be putting toxins on it because that goes directly into all your body systems.
Totally. So I know that you have a magazine out there. Tell us a little bit about your magazine.
It was a passion project and it's out there. You can go to my website, which is just like underneath my name there, CherylMHealthMuse.com. On the first page, there's a link that'll take you to a page that will take you to my magazine. It's a big magazine, but it covers some of the most important pillars of health and gives you a layman's explanation as to why they're important. So I explain why it's important to eat organic, why it's important to eat the rainbow, why you want to take care of your stress and breathe, why you want to get rid of all of the cleaning supplies in your house that are toxic and how to do it. And I even have an article in there on how to be a toxin detective because there are some apps now that right while you're shopping, you can put the barcode or the QR code right in and it'll say, don't buy this, it's too toxic. So there's a lot of things that have happened since I did this, but it's like a guide to everything you need to know on A to Z on how to be healthy. The woman who runs Chemo Buddies wrote an article on why community is so important to health because she believes no one should go through cancer alone. And it's a beautiful article and she's built a international organization to support women going through cancer. And there's a woman in there who had a botched back surgery, had a second one, was even worse, and ended up here in Sedona, where I now live, at a holistic retreat, going through a whole holistic program of meditation and breathing and yoga, which she said her life began with her back surgery. It didn't end it. So and they brought in people from all over the country and put them through that program then. And even somebody with a heart condition that they didn't expect her to live more than a couple of months, started going back onto a path of wellness. So if you want to get well, there are many routes to health, and my magazine shows you many of them. My functional doctor wrote an article, my naturopath wrote an article. Everything you need to know about initial steps to return to wellness is in my magazine.
Wow, that's great information. Well, we will definitely link that in the show notes. This has been such a high level conversation. Cheryl, is there anything that you might want to add to it?
No, I just want everybody to know you've got more power than you realize. Look
Mhm.
at what Ginger has accomplished. Look at what I have accomplished. If you have symptoms, they're actually a gift that's
Yes,
telling you to clean up and
yes,
take care of yourself and do self-care because you're worth it and you can earn back your wellness. You're just going to have to find what your puzzle pieces
yeah,
are.
yeah. We get signals, that's for sure. Our body signals us to tell us what's going on. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing all this great, valuable information with us. And I can't wait for many women to reach out for this magazine that you have, because I know that is going to help so many. And listen, if you are looking for a support community out there, if you are a woman in midlife, menopause, you just want some support, jump on over to our Facebook group, Successful Irradiant Women. We love and support every woman there. And, I can't wait to pop on another episode with you. So if you enjoyed this podcast, like, download, subscribe, leave us a review, because this is what helps women to find us. And I can't wait to jump on another episode with you. And until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Cheryl.